Pictures of you, right? What first? I guess I'll have some chairs. Maybe let's. Sure. I think. Hey, Matt. Grab some chairs. Certainly, my seat. I think so. No, there's some white ones over this. Yes. I think that's kind of fun. Or back itself. You just need it. All the things. I'm looking at you, Bob. Right, kid? There's a lot of problems. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's city council meeting. I invite all of you to please stand so we can recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. All right, Derek, roll call, please.
Councilmember Wood. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Here.
Yes.
Councilmember Dashner. Councilmember Shortman. Here. Councilmember Liz.
Here. Do I have a motion to excuse Councilwoman Dobbs? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 12, 2025. Are there any suggested changes or corrections to those minutes? See none, they are accepted as submitted. Item 4, a wonderful part of our meetings when they do happen. Ceremony recognizing the motion of Sergeant Ozarski and Harris, Lieutenant Harris. Chief Hutchins, will you take the stand? I'm sorry, the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Looks like I was just stuck with doing this. Any changes in public safety? Members of council, Mayor Theros, family and friends, we appreciate the ability, as always, to present our most recent promotion for you this evening. These two gentlemen worked very hard during the promotional process last fall, landing at the top of their respective lists. I know many people have heard my description of the process before, but for those who haven't, just a quick recap. The public safety promotional process consists of a written exam encompassing police and fire command, state law, budgeting, staffing, fire science, public relations, morale, discipline, and leadership styles. Upon passing the exam, the officer is interviewed by a panel of chiefs and high-ranking supervisors from outside of those points. And Harper Woods interview includes a timed introduction by each officer, as well as legal questions and hypothetical scenarios. Upon passing the oral interview, the officer receives promotional ratings from each supervisor within our department. The scores from all three phases comprise a final score. So, gentlemen, on your name, step forward. Director Sarsky. Eric began his career with Huron Township as a patrol officer, where he worked for 2.5 years before coming to Grosse Pointe Farms in August of 2018. He has worked as an FTO, carrying newly hired officers, and as a detective for the past 3 years, assigned to several high-profile cases. He has received various departmental awards, as well as the Valor Award from the 100 Club in 2021, and the FOP Grosse Pointe Lodge Officer of the Year in 2022. Derek is currently hard at work finishing his master's degree while assigned to his new position on the night shift. He's joined this evening by his daughters to present him with his badge. Congratulations, Sergeant Blazarski.
Stenographer. Kid I love. Much the way now, right? Oh. I was gonna say, just maybe that. Okay. Now. Either way, I don't want to work for town right off the bat. Yeah. Congratulations. Sergeant. Thank you. Patients are busy now.
Yeah. Tim Harris. And age. Tim is a U.S. Navy veteran. Began his career as a medic with MedStar Ambulance, servicing Grosse Pointe Farms and our surrounding communities. Came to the department in June of 2006 and has worked tirelessly in various positions of leadership, pioneering the K-9 program with our beloved Duke in 2014. Tim and Duke were always in demand at our schools, community events, police incidents, training sessions, and by our mutual aid partners. Continues this tradition today with K-9 Rocco, generously supported by our local benefactors. Tim is also a trainer with the National Association of Canine Handlers, leader of the Eastern Wayne County Special Response Team, drone unit supervisor, and veteran of the Grosse Pointe Farms dive team. Recipient of various departmental awards and accolades. Tim was promoted to sergeant in July of 2022, and tonight he is joined by his family and wife, PSO Paige Harris, to present him with his badge. Congratulations, Lieutenant Harris.
They go, Lieutenant.
That concludes our promotions for this evening, but stay tuned because we're back next month with 3 more.
All right.
All right, let's get on.
Lots of changes.
Right. Let's give a few minutes for the families and officers to leave the room before we move on to our next item.
And. Oh, no, it's really.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Shit, but.
All right, item number 4, discussion regarding Village Market Street and parking lot plan. So for those of you in attendance who were here 5 months ago, is that about right? This is an update of our discussions with the owners of Village Market. You're gonna hear a lot of the same ground. Please understand that part of this is to help the McKinley traffic by moving it and potentially having, exit only onto Mac, et cetera. So we have a couple of different plans that have come to light as we've had further discussions to try to alleviate some of the parking and traffic issues on Mac and McKinley. So that, give us your name and address, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. Jacob Barlow, 18330 Mac Avenue. As you can see on the screen right here, this is the first rendering that we had back with George Jerome, probably like early 2019. Throughout all the different costs and changes that we had, we actually went to PEA out of Auburn Hills with Jim Butler, who was one of the engineers that has done a couple projects for us as well. We're going to take a look at the project and see what he could maybe do in maximizing the space and looking for traffic flows and some different ways to enhance the space as well. So this is the first rendering that you guys have all seen for a while, but we wanted to come here and share with you the second rendering that we have. So Jim,
Actually,
actually,
got plenty of chairs over there too, if you guys are crowded by the door and don't want to get run over.
so I apologize, Jim actually was supposed to be here, but he has another city council meeting that he was supposed to be a part of today, so he will be here to explain when we go to site plan, but he did leave me a little bit of notes just explaining the proposed project will realign the existing section of McKinley Avenue from Mack Avenue to the public alley. The realignment will eliminate the existing angled intersection and replace it with an intersection that is perpendicular. This realignment will allow the installation of additional public parking within Mack Avenue and adjacent to the existing businesses located adjacent to McKinley Avenue as well. So as you can see, he sort of elongated the avenue and the front parking and made the other one look kind of just added there and add a little bit more parking on the street. Still have the 90-degree angle. Still have the parking on the north side for the warehouse. So he kind of just, I think he made it a little bit more. A couple of our problems were coming. Oh, sorry. couple of our problems were customers and patrons coming down McKinley and not having that 90-degree angle. So we still have the 90-degree angle with no parking on the right side of it. So customers can come in and out very, very smoothly without having to worry about anybody that's coming to the left of them off of Mack Avenue. So we have also sent this parking lot to Wayne County. They have approved it. They had minor, I would say just minor, comments based on just signage, where we are missing the signage basically on the drawings. So, and I've shared that with Shane, and Matt has seen that as well, but they did approve this site. And yeah, so we just wanted to share it with you guys and see what your thoughts were.
All right, who's got questions?
Right.
Left.
Shane, are we being asked to make a motion on a particular project here today?
No, it's just discussion purposes. They have to come back for full site plan.
Yeah, which we hope that that'll happen in the next coming months. So, but we want to get your guys' opinion. Obviously, with Wayne County's approval, hopefully that.
This was really meant as an update for two reasons. One is there's been some modifications from the plan that was shared with City Council and the residents several months ago. With that said, I know that the Village Market did take the recommendation of the City Council. They did have a public meeting 3 months ago with and invited residents along McKinley and Jason area. And they did, I believe, share this concept as well at that meeting.
Yeah, we shared both.
One more question.
Sure, go ahead.
And Jacob, are you saying that the PEA group site plan is the one that we should be looking at rather than the one that's presented to us from SBA? And
Yes,
the PEA group one is site plan was the one that was approved by the county.
the PA is approved by the county. Yes. Yeah, and that's we did it at our own expense. Update the changes and see what we can do to enhance the site.
In your view, in terms of safety for the customers, pedestrians right there at Mack and McKinley, and that kind of where people are coming in and going out, and people are walking across the street to here to the market. Is this site plan addressing safety issues for pedestrians?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Could you explain how that is for folks behind us and also for us? What is, in your view, enhancing safety?
Well, McKinley currently runs through this parking lot, and our parking lot that's on the north side where our warehouse is, I would say 50% of our customers are parking there, probably a little bit more actually. And they're walking through McKinley, which is a pretty busy road between, all day almost. Customers are coming off of Mack and driving down McKinley all day, and our customers are sort of crossing through that as well with their baskets and their kids. And so this sort of eliminates that by keeping everybody in the actual space where the parking lot is, as well as just extending the boulevard as well. Obviously, we're hoping that some of this other parking is used for some of the other businesses on the right side next to our warehouse, like the salon and the dentist and the other, whatever the other businesses are in the realtor's office next door to us as well. So that's why we have the parking lot to the north for that as well. But yeah, this would definitely help a lot of customers walking in and walking out from our store.
So sure. The idea then is that by focusing the customers to park in that where it says 31 additional parking spaces, focusing people to park there eliminates conflict.
Absolutely.
on
Correct. Yeah.
well, some kind, a lot of time.
A lot of it, yeah. It's, our own staff is going up there every single day between Henley Avenue and Rockland Street, and it is a very, very busy road. That by doing this, we will definitely, it's much, much safer.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
John?
Hi,
John.
Mr. Garland, good evening.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, just out of curiosity, by showing hands of those in the audience, how many are here tonight for this public hearing, so to speak? Okay. So we have about 30 people here. Thank you all very, very much for coming. Mr. Garma, I'm going to impose upon you a little bit. You could approach the screen and just offer a little more clarity to a few questions that I have. I can tell you I've heard from 10 or 15 residents, been in contact with about 30. Could you show on the map, please, where the 31 additional parking places are that are referred to in bold?
Well, I mean, you're gonna have a 13 that come over here, about 5 that come over here. We have another 8 and 4 over here, so I mean. As far as the 31, I mean, this is, what we have right now is about 18 on this side currently. So, yeah, we'll definitely have, there'll be plenty of parking.
So 31 is in the area immediately to the upper left where it says 31 additional parking places, around 8 there, 13 below that toward Mack Avenue, and some on the right-hand side near your warehouse building. So
Correct. Correct.
And how many of those 31 additional parking places, please, will be dedicated to Village Foods?
Well, I mean, this is all dedicated to Village Market. This is also dedicated, I mean, when we say, this would be shared. Like I said, with the other businesses that are here.
So what do you mean when you just said dedicated before you said shared, if I might?
I would say, I think dedicated is, they would be, they're definitely not assigned to us, right? But these are for, I mean, customers can park here and go to the dentist. So it's not like they're dedicated to Village Market, but these would be for Village Market, if that makes sense.
And under these plans, would there still be parking available on Mack Avenue? I don't see similar spots. There would still, those existing spots would be there until the right of way in McKinley. Are those?
There's spots here right now.
Correct.
I don't believe that they will be here. There won't be a spot here.
There won't be spots there any longer?
Not, at least not here. Even through the rest of our lot line, really goes right here. So for him to kind of go further, he could have, but, I believe that there's a couple of spots over here.
So how many spots are you eliminating on Mack Avenue, and McKinley there in front, please?
Well, we have one spot, which is probably the most important spot, which customers are coming in and out of this so they can be able to see it. Currently, right now, McKinley runs this way, not on a 90-degree angle, and there is parking over here. So when you come out of McKinley Avenue, it's very, very difficult to be able to see oncoming traffic.
So when you come back for site plan, would you mind asking your architect to include detailed parking with regard to what is between Fisher and McKinley as well? Could you expand that?
Yeah, absolutely.
One more question, if I might, through the mayor. Can you show us and the ladies and gentlemen who are here where your proposed outdoor cooking and barbecue area is going to be on this map?
We'll probably be right around here.
Main entrance to the store, please, just so everybody has a good.
Right here.
And will there be an elimination of outdoor vending for the most part adjacent to the sidewalk and that area with the 31 additional parking spaces? Or do you plan on including to the right additional vending with regards to your stores?
Where are you talking about, Jim?
Where it says 31 additional parking, will any of that be used for vending of any kind whatsoever?
No, I mean, we sort of kept this, this sort of like landing space for some of our merchandise, but no, I mean, this would be for parking only.
So there is a landing space for merchandise adjacent to the door and adjacent to the area you're gonna be doing outdoor cooking?
Correct, but I mean, it's seasonal and weekends, right? So.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Garland, thank you very much. That's all I have for now.
Building up the issues of what Councilman Luli talked about was it would be helpful to just juxtapose what we have right now versus what's there, because I think the 31, the way that I've read this, 31 is comprehensive amongst what's along Mack Avenue, what's in the other lot, what's there. I think because this is such a significant change, it would be helpful for people to see, okay, here's how it currently looks, here's how many spots are there. Because I think we really want to make sure people understand and can see in a real way that there is an addition of spaces. I hear what you said, that currently we have 18, but I'm curious if that, what that includes down the road. Bigger thing is just when we actually come to approve it, it would be helpful to see what we've got right now.
Sure, we can do that. We can, I mean, obviously, we could probably just Google Earth it and.
Yeah.
Pull out the lines for you guys, so. Spot on. Yeah, no problem.
That's all from.
Side? All right, so I got a couple questions.
Or, let me go back.
In terms of traffic flow, the arrows on the PEI drawing are just kind of, looks like star shaped compared to what the SVA. You've got it drawn to have an in and out on between McKinley on the new version of McKinley. And you're comfortable with the no left turn on the McKinley for your customers?
Yes.
So then the traffic leaving parking spots in that little alcove area could not turn left.
Right here.
Yes. Second question is, right now you have that driveway coming off of the warehouses where people park and then they bring their carts through and then they cut across McKinley. Is that a complete barrier that PEI drew? So they'd have to come down to Mac, cross at the appropriate crosswalk to get onto the sidewalk? Is that the plan? Yeah, so go, yep. So now go up. Is that all blocked now? So they can't just walk, or is that a sidewalk? Or
This is a
is
sidewalk.
So you're gonna be a fence so people can't bring their carts over
Yeah.
the middle of the road?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, it's a similar,
Well, but now you have a driveway into them,
correct,
which you'll get rid of.
right.
So you'll still have a fence where they have to come down to the sidewalk, making it safer for them to cross
Correct.
McKinley.
Yeah, this is a fence as well, not only on the light poles, but there's a fence here and a fence.
Right, yeah,
Right,
okay.
like we talked about before, I mean, we're not gonna change that.
And then I was a big proponent of getting rid of the speedway race through from Ace Hardware to the island to McKinley. So with your PEI drawing, you would leave it in the same spot, but because you've moved it down, you still have to do a Michigan turn to get back into the parking lot either way.
Correct.
So that's a good change. Last question,
Well, we had this here
right?
initially,
Right.
but we believe that there's just gonna be too much traffic.
Well, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
From the SVA drawing, I wanted it down, I wanted to get rid of that,
Yeah,
anything that turned left, right down.
technically, it'll just stay where it's at,
I got it,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? So.
And then last question I have is, would you be willing to lose two of the spaces as you enter to the right there, Derek? Because the biggest problem right there, because one of the bigger problems you have existing is that people wait for those two spots when they see somebody backing out, which then spills them onto Mac Avenue. So I would suggest talking to PEA about eliminating at least two of the spots. So people couldn't wait and they'd have the third spot, so at least that person has an area to back out and get away. And they wouldn't have to spill out onto the road. That's just to me a safety thing.
Yeah.
But I think that would be helpful.
I think we have that right now with, there's like
Yeah, but you're gonna have to come up with like a barrier like inside, so people don't, because I think I might be guilty of it myself. Oh, that looks like a spot, I'm just gonna park right there. All right, that's all I've got. Anybody else on council? All right, so we're gonna open this, hold on.
I guess
You missed the time to sign up to run for council, it was April. All right, so, go ahead, we're not finished.
I'm not sure if you did share this with everybody as well, but this is the acceptance letter from, or the approval letter from Wayne County. I can share with you guys, like I said, the only thing that they really did have were a couple signage, oppositions, so.
Well, we'll take down the 88 signs they'll make you put up.
Right.
All right, first question I have for everybody, we get the public comment. How many of you attended the sessions that the Garmos invited you to out of this 30? Okay, so about 30% of you. All right, I'm going to recommend that he do it again, but you should all go. Because many of the questions you all are about to come up here and ask us might have been answered at those couple meetings. So if they weren't, because it's a new design, great. Second, I ask you, we've been doing this for the whole time on council. We don't need 5 people saying the same 5 things. If someone speaks ahead of you and asks something that you wanted to ask, unless we don't give an answer, which we'll try to, please don't ask it 5 times. we'd all appreciate that, because it is hot in here and we didn't pay our electrical bills at the problem. So, willing to listen to hear everybody out, but if we can avoid being repetitive, since we're all can hear this, I appreciate it. And here's how it works. You talk to us, you don't turn around and ask Mr. Garmo questions. At the end of all of the conversation, if there's follow-up, it'll come from me or the council to the applicant. Remember, this is just a discussion. We are not voting on anything today. There still has to be a full site plan presented with architectural drawings, landscape drawings, fencing, many of the things we discussed here today, and suggestions from you all will be put into that site plan approval. All right, come on down, contestant number 1. Give us your name and address.
My name is Maureen Finnegan. My address is 444 McKinley. I am here to first say thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. I'm not trying to people behind me, but I appreciate them being here as well. I'm gonna go brief. It was initially a small grocery store. Expansion, without parking should never have happened. People on the street of McKinley, I appreciate that. We have not been taken into consideration. There are some things that we need to discuss. I have a few of the neighbors who have brought things that they had in front of you, they brought to me. One of the things that was brought up was by our Brady Baitens on 466. He is a gross point officer. He had brought some lovely points about traffic. I don't know if you, and I'm going to direct this to you because I asked you specifically for the survey, the traffic survey. So did you get the results from the traffic survey on McKinley?
We were gonna do it. Did we ever
You
do
did
that?
not. Don't have results.
The traffic survey. Speeding.
I have to check. I just got 5 from him.
So you had your officers in front of Rick and Julia Burkhardt's home
Okay.
with a marked car, not an unmarked car. And Rick and Julia came out and spoke with them. And they asked them how it was. Your officer said it was really bad. That's why I'm sitting here to write tickets. But he didn't have the unmarked car because it was in the shop for service. So everyone saw him slow down. It's a bad result. So with that being said, this is part of the trend that we're seeing every day. People are moving because they have little kids. They can't be on their front lawn. It's not safe on McKinley. We have a neighbor who's counting the number of semis that come down the street every day as a result of dropping things off, going from one market to another. We have some wonderful markets in our neighborhood, but they literally use McKinley as the thoroughfare for everything. We had more semi trucks than we've ever seen before. Traffic in back in the day was quiet. And I don't know if the council knows, there was a time when it was Village Market prior to today from a former owner, and they made the end of McKinley at Village Market a cul-de-sac. Are you guys aware of that? It was actually done in the 80s. There was a cul-de-sac created by the former owner. It was right there at the alley so that traffic wasn't as bad. They did it for a period of time. They did a study on it and it just went away. But nothing's changed. Now we have this beautiful market, and I support market. I support market. I know a lot of my neighbors do too. We have this beautiful market. It's creating such a problem for all of us.
So let me ask a question.
Sure.
At the last session, we talked about no semi signage.
I did
So
talk about
stop
that. I did.
We did. Yeah. I'm old, but I remember it. So that would be, we'd be able to enforce that. So that would hopefully he can instruct all his suppliers to not go down McKinley. Second of all, I'm curious, and anybody who's coming for to tell me if they know this right or wrong. I'm gonna jump my kid in a second. Do you think by taking rid of that cut through, which I've seen people do from Ace Hardware, they go Ace through the cut through and go right down McKinley,
Absolutely.
100 miles an hour. Do you think rerouting all this traffic will reduce because there's no more of a raceway through it?
But answer, no, I apologize.
Okay, just want to know what y'all thinking because I think it would substantially. Sure.
Here is what we have not discussed, and I appreciate this beautiful drawing. I do restaurants, so parking and number of spots you have for the people who come in, crucial. I don't get approval from Wayne County. Okay, so you come down this public alley,
Yep.
you're delivering, you got a big truck, which way are you turning? They want to turn left. They want to go up here because this cut is going to be very difficult.
90 degrees is gonna be better than the.
All right.
They're going to go here. This is where.
Actually, we're gonna go live.
Oh, they're going to-
All right, guys, hold on. we have to rely on engineers who know this a lot better than we do. If the engineer says that a semi can't make the right-hand turn, then we'll figure out something, because we hear that you don't know. You have parking on both sides of McKinley.
No,
Oh, I thought you were on one side. Yeah, it's on the other side. You're right. I forgot. Yeah, nothing was a cheese right. Nothing's in front of cheese right's house except for my car.
no.
Yes, I know. But even then, it's tight. You can't do it even with one side parking. So we can see if that curb has to be cut a little bit, maybe lose a spot to avoid semis going down. So we heard you last time, and I think that we want to avoid the semis doing it. And, you know, and we talked about, and when we get to site plans, everybody knows how this works. If there are restrictions that we sit as a board want to put on it. All right,
So
it has to be built within those restrictions.
this part here, that unless we're gonna make it so that they all continue this way, they're gonna come up here and they're gonna turn right, unless we say no right turn on McKinley.
Which we already said, yes, no left turn out, no right turn down.
Okay, so that's good. So that's good. This is gonna be a disaster. If we didn't have, and the suggestion was a cul-de-sac here to block this off. We did not have that, trying to get down McKinnon. Thanksgiving, Christmas, we're not talking about, sorry, to talk to you guys, we're not talking about those holidays. These people that live up here, they can't even park here because the parking's already taken over by somebody because they can't get a spot here. And that's the growth that we're seeing.
So let me ask you this then, hold on, Rick. If there's no change and we do absolutely nothing, you have exactly what you have today. So, is this an opportunity to do this and do something better? Is the question.
Valet parking?
Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
I'm just not sure that people are satisfied with what today's good enough, Mr. Mayor.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it just was, I was trying,
Be an improvement.
this is what we're trying to figure out, because the reason this all came up is because going there and seeing it and having friends who live down the street. I saw a raceway. This to me creates friction to people who aren't shopping to not race down McKinley. Because the cut through is gone. I'm not Ace Hardware. I'm not gonna go down your street. I don't see the raceway. I'm not gonna turn right off a shelf on because I got a raceway, because I got a house zigzag. Less traffic at Marges because I gotta do that silly little left-right jag at Marges in the park, hoping to create that same atmosphere here. So one of the options is to do nothing and you all get what you have today.
But this,
Go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
just had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have we done, has there been any study about the idea of a cul-de-sac? Or just essentially blocking off streets?
Okay, so yes, there have been, as long as I've been on council, and before that, yes, and what we have found is when you do the temporary cul-de-sac, all the traffic goes onto the neighboring streets, and 60 of them are here, talking to 30 of them that were here from McKinley, because all the traffic went to their streets. So you can either divide it among 3 streets, or you can divide it among 2.
Fisher is a one-way though, that's a.
That was 100-year-old, that's a 100-year-old thing. People have asked for Moran to be one way as
That's
well.
still a non-starter.
but we're unique. McKinley is unique. I understand what you're saying, but we have a problem on McKinley. The other streets have streets that spread off, and they also have a light that they can turn at. Where we're at with McKinley, we are special. We are special. I'm just gonna say it right
Because
now.
right now it's a runway, that's my point.
It is, but we can find a solution if we all get together. We've never had an opportunity to sit down with your traffic and a couple council members to not in a council
But
meeting.
if you talk to Jake about this, and Mark, with those meetings that they had to say, hey, consider the right turn.
It was 2 meetings, and one was 3 years ago. I was out of town. There was no way I could do it. And half the people here didn't even know and didn't go. Pink flyers you see, those are for me. This right here, getting in and out of here, is gonna be difficult. People behind trying to come down McKinley are gonna get stopped up by people coming in and coming out. I mean, this, you guys are gonna have to have more police presence here, for real. And then track here, it's a blind spot. I know he said that it's not in the drawing. If you try to turn right, which is the only way you can go, you can't see because of the cars that are blocked here. And if people are trying to get in and out of here, you're also not gonna be able to see. So this is not, it's good, but not there yet. Not there yet. And I know you don't like the cul-de-sac idea. If we put that cul-de-sac here, it would literally allow him a different design here. I'm okay with it. Give up a little bit more McKinley, have to, but let him do a different design. Don't push it to McKinley. This is just a suggestion. And this just came up in the last week or so.
All right,
I have 2 more.
okay.
I'm done. Jay Cassis would be willing to.
Hold on, guys, people, well, folks, Folks, excuse me, one at a time, please. Thank you.
The resident who lives at 478 McKinley, Jane Cassis, who is not here tonight, she could not join us. She has mentioned again about rezoning her property, which is the property right behind Mark's Place on the corner. She has a double lot. Take care of some of his parking if we would allow for the first house to be considered for both purposes. It's just an idea. I mean, there's so many different ways that we could do this as opposed to inconvenience the residents of our block. We do not want to lower our home values. We do have a critter problem. We all know about it. I don't know if that means that we need to increase animal control, but we do need to do something about the rats on McKinley. There was one in front of my house that my neighbor saw, dead, huge, this big. I mean, these are things that we do need to consider. Expansion's wonderful, but we need to consider this for today. And if we decide, if you as council decide later to do something if they're upstairs, that's a whole nother bag of tricks. Okay, so with that being said, I respectfully say thank you and take it into consideration, please.
Discussion. All right, who wants to come up next? Come on, right, oh, you didn't raise your hand, you lose. Backhand, right hand corner. Welcome back, comments. Gotta see Rorschach, raise your hands. Oh, deep cut.
I saw Nick.
Okay. Name and address, please.
Martin Major, 425 McKinley. I recently moved here about a month and a half ago, so I don't know what I don't know. But I do have a comment about NB, which is the PEA group map. One concern I have compared to the Plan A, I don't know, like the SBA. There was a way to enter into that parking, the 32 additional parking spaces from that. In the original Plan A, the SBA plan. Compared to the PDA group plan, there's no way to enter that other than entering McKinley. My concern is there's gonna be a ton of congestion on McKinley and which leads into Mac. You're gonna have more congestion traffic onto Mac, creating more traffic for us residents to get into our 400 block. Has that been looked into at all?
Yes and no, because there's only 12 spots on the new drawing, so there's fewer cars going in and out of that entrance. So the original plan where you said where it's got off the Mac, it's got 18. It's got 23 spots, so literally double the spots, so double the exit and entrance.
I understand that there's engineers and everything, but there's actual scientists that do propose what work in a perfect world work.
Traffic.
But there's also people that cannot drive and cannot back out of spaces. It takes 10 minutes to get out into it and out of a space. I watched it personally the last month, how people have been whipping in and out of that parking spot. So I want to at least stress, I know there's not going to be an answer today, but I want that to be at least looked into the congestion that's going to be into maps.
Joey, can I ask that I look at it? I know she's talking about to be sure that I understand what she's saying. Could I just?
Yeah.
Put SBA, Derek, can you put SBA up?
What I think you're saying.
Plan A, sorry. Plan A, Plan B.
First plan had parking coming, or had curb cut coming off of Mac.
It's right there, look, it's right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's B.
So your concern,
Go back to A.
so your concern is that people coming along here.
There it is. There's A, that's what you're talking, there's an exit there.
So going back to the PEA.
Not B.
Your concern is people coming in this way from Mac are gonna take a right here and then go here.
And wait.
But these guys are gonna be kind of messing around, waiting for these people to leave and park and everything. And then this is gonna be like park, there's gonna be a line right around.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, or.
All right, go ahead, sorry. Guys, one at a time, go ahead, finish your thought.
That's all I have.
I was just trying to get her name again, sir. Okay. Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it, welcome to the community.
Thank you.
Now.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, chiefs, my name is Ray Baines. I reside at 466 McKinley. I've worked in law enforcement for 13 years. I know what signage does. If they're saying no left turn on McKinley, as long as you don't have a cop there 24/7, guarantee nobody follows that sign. It's just what we live in nowadays. Nobody follows the rules. I really had no say in the traffic going up and down McKinley until I had a daughter. She's 1 year old now. And just driving around the park, I don't see as many kids playing out in the streets or in the front yards that I do on McKinley. We have probably 5 or 6 different homes that their kids are just out playing with the ball, hockey. We have tons of kids on the street. That's one of the main reasons why people move to the street. And the fact that these cars are flying up and down McKinley is a serious problem that we have dealing with it. As far as the parking goes, the original plan is this plan right here. These cars turning left on McKinley, they're gonna be doing it nonstop all day. That's just gonna double traffic. I'm a big favor of making that a cul-de-sac, push the property values up. I'm a big fan of Village Market. I go there about every day. I probably paid for half of this parking lot. But, no, we're big supporters of Village Market. We want to see them do well, but that little space for what they're trying to do just doesn't seem to fit. Kind of like Chick-fil-A going in on Mac. Doesn't make sense. So I mean, there's obviously you've got some serious concerns about the residents here. We just had 2 people move off the street this month because of the traffic on McKinley. 2 young families that just moved off of McKinley that I knew personally because of the traffic on McKinley. So there's a problem that we obviously all sit down and come up with a solution for it. But cul-de-sac, a one-way, would go along with residents on McKinley's. So.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Good evening, it's Ryan Gorski. I'm at 457 McKinley. I only learned of this cul-de-sac idea yesterday. And at first I was hesitant because of how easy it is for me to get to the highway. But it's sunk in. And I think one thing that nobody has said yet, I want to add value, is that depending on where we draw the line, wherever that barrier would be, we can make green space out of it. So that way we have an obstruction of seeing all the Mac traffic, maybe break up some of the sound coming down McKinley. But the second part is all that space allocated to roads would be an additional parking. That could be one large parking lot and would significantly increase the parking that would allow for their restaurant to have more space for their customers, as well as customers for the grocery as well. So nobody had brought that up yet. And I think that is one of the strongest arguments for the business side of the equation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tamara Bobby, and I'm here with my business partner, Romina Papata. I represent 18226 Mac Avenue. We are Tower Therapeutic Fitness and Wellness. We are the Pilates studio that opened about 1.5 years ago. We love our location and we love Village Market. As the gentleman just said, I was there Sunday buying all of the fixings for Father's Day picnic. That being said, really, our concern is just preserving at least what we have, or perhaps making an improvement, as someone mentioned, to our parking situation. We could have as many as 7 patrons in our facility at one time. We share the 4 spots. There are 4 spots that you mentioned that you can't see that are there in front of 18226 to 18232 that we use. Currently, one of the points of clarification that one of the councilmen requested, we are also interested in. I counted today, there are 12 spots out on Mac currently, including the ones that are on McKinley. So and it looks to me as though you gained 4 there, but I'm not sure. Is there still street parking on McKinley in this plan?
No.
No? Okay, so if there's no street parking there, I believe you lose at least 5 meters. And then my next question would be, are the spots that are on MAC, are they going to continue to be unmetered? Our next point of, yes, okay, so they'll continue to be that way, but I do believe that if you are losing the McKinley spots, there are 5 spots on McKinley and 6 right now in front of the gravel lot. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe. So I believe that is a net loss of 7 spots that are on the street right now. That's my calculation. I don't know if that's correct, but I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood. So our concern is if we're losing those spots, where will our patrons park? And I think it's very generous that Village Market has said that our businesses could use the parking lot on the south side of McKinley. We would also like to ask the council if they could consider putting language in the zoning that would say that the businesses from 18226 to 18232 have the right to let their patrons park in that lot. I know that Mark is going to continue to let us do that because he's a great guy. But what if, we don't know the ifs, what if it changes hands someday? So could we protect our businesses and have some sort of language written in that gives us rights to let our patrons park there? Another question we have, does anyone know when this would begin and how long the project would take?
Haven't gotten that far.
Okay, and is there any provision for ultimate parking during the?
Haven't gotten it.
Okay, so those are also some of our concerns, because if, let's say it takes 6 months, where do our people park in that 6 months? And I think there might be some creative options. But it would be nice to kind of plan that out so that we know that our patrons are gonna have a place to park and that they're gonna be safe if they're crossing the streets, etc.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, one of the unknowns is, a lot of the time we depend on not just county approval, but county involvement. They're gonna tell us when they can
Sure,
X and Y,
sure.
so we'd like to say, yeah, we're approving 2 months from now.
Right,
Start
right,
the-
right. But when we-
I won't say publicly what I think about the county at the time, so. Maybe I just did, yeah.
One thing, also, my wife is a
Yes, I
patron.
love Kristen,
Yeah.
she's great.
So, but one thing I think to your point, if we were to do something about like that guarantees that you have the spots, I think one of the things you'd have to do, just because we don't know what will end up in those businesses, you'd have to have some sort of hour, like a time limit, under 2 hours, because you wouldn't want a business coming in that have people parking in there for 8 hours.
And I will point out, Mark has said to me, and I think he's right, you know, our customers are his customers. I can't tell you how many times I have walked out of the studio, gone over, and I saw someone who's just in my class. So I do think that we're all kind of a very, we're a community and we all are sharing the spaces. One thing I will say, just from my own opinion, thinking about the cul-de-sac idea, is if you did do a cul-de-sac, then you would have a lot more opportunity for a much bigger parking lot with a lot more spaces for all of the businesses to utilize in the area. So, and it also might solve a traffic issue. And just my other 2 cents, we've been talking about the cut through that goes over to Ace. I can tell you that I lived on Hollywood in the woods before the woods changed the medians. You guys remember that, where you used to be able to cut through? And when you could cut through, it would be just, you know, like you say, a raceway. Once they did put in those staggered medians, it did reduce the traffic on the streets on the other side of Mac. So in my personal experience, I do think that those staggered medians can make a big difference. So those are our concerns. So if there's a way that council can consider our concerns and include those concerns into discussions and plans, we would appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Oh. Go on up.
Pretty amazing.
Somebody has mentioned the bad.
Name and address, please.
My name is Pat Dillon Quinn. I live at 431 McKinley. And I've been in my house since 1985. I've been a longtime resident, one of the longer ones on the block. And yes, there was a cul-de-sac on the block back in the 80s and 90s. There was an attorney who worked here and goes to Point Farms regularly. Her last name was O'Brien. She arranged it all because her child was small at the time. Mine were in high school at the time, my children. And she arranged for a cul-de-sac at the end of the block. It was fantastic. And I don't know why we couldn't keep it. Any reason why we couldn't keep the cul-de-sac?
I wasn't here in the eighties, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was.
No, I'm serious.
I was here 91, so it had to proceed 91.
Before 91?
Yes.
I mean, it was great. The kids could ride their bikes. The kids
So
could ride.
so again, I'll say this, I know, the one thing I do remember is they looked at cul-de-sacs on Allard, they looked at cul-de-sacs in other streets. They looking at cul-de-sacs in the park. It's a whole, we could bring in experts about why cul-de-sacs work and don't work. And it
Well,
is.
look what's working.
So something changed where it wasn't, because they would have left it if it was truly working, so.
Well,
Mr. Jensen, you want to tell us why, since you do remember?
On the park, when we did that. Put a cul-de-sac, it's an actually a cul-de-sac that blocked the street. At McKinley in the alley. It was bedlam. After a month or two or three, it had nothing to do with Debbie O'Brien. After a couple of months, residents on McKinley started to complain because now they had to go all the way around the side street to Chalfont, down Chalfont. And then the residents on Moran and on Lincoln and the other side streets adjoining it started to complain because the traffic doesn't go away. It just finds a different pattern. So all that traffic was pushed onto the neighboring side streets, and the cry went out, and the residents on McKinley were the biggest push to remove it. Because really, when you change traffic patterns, we say, I did this for a long time. When you change traffic patterns on your street, it affect you because you live in it 24/7, 365. The speeders and all the other complaints are very valid. But I think the director, John Hutchins, and Andy can handle that with signage and enforcement. We also tried to cul-de-sac at Mac and Mason, where you're referring, and the exact same thing happened. Mason Road residents started to say, wait a minute, because of some truckers and people cutting through to go to the strays, we are now having to go all the way around the world to get to our house. And the people on the neighboring Champaign and those streets absorbed all that excessive traffic. Again, it doesn't go away. It just goes on to the neighboring streets. So my suggestion is they've got some valid complaints here that I think can be addressed by signage and enforcement, but the traffic's not going to go away. It just pushes it onto your neighbors. And at the next council meeting, you're going to have all the Marine Road, all the McMillan, all the other roads that are attached to that area, because that traffic's can now be pushed onto their space.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan.
I have one other problem. I currently leave on a Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock and I try to make a left-hand turn onto Mac from McKinley. There are cars parked blocking the total view. You can't get across at 5 o'clock. No, it's impossible to get across from where I can show you where they're parking.
So
And it's a legitimate parking meter they're parking in, but it blocks the entire blue view of Mac Avenue turning left. And there has been accidents, and I know there has been accidents because I've witnessed them. And then why don't they ticket the people who are double parking in the handicap spot and those few little spots on McKinley as you come up to the stop sign? They are terrible with double parking. I'm sorry, but I take my life in my hands. I feel like trying to make a left-hand turn at my corner. I advise everybody that I know not to go down McKinley. And you know, I've lived there 40-some years. And you can't make a left-hand turn at 5 o'clock. And then try turning right at 8 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to drive kids to school, which I do. Make a right-hand turn because of all the trucks, the delivery trucks. It's nice that they're open that early, but the trucks are ridiculous at 8 o'clock in the morning. You You know, I've been putting up with this for 40 years. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, seeing no other public comment is closed. So, we will take all these comments under advisement. Jake, do you want to bring anything up based on these comments, or are you good till you have a meeting with them again, now that you've heard them all? Maybe you have another meeting to make sure an envelope goes in each person's mailbox, which I think, did you put in everybody's mailbox?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it all the way down to shell phone, right?
The list that Matt gave us went out to the US with postal service and they sent it out to everybody.
And then it was down the whole block, right? Whole block to shell phone, yeah. So those of you, please do not accidentally throw something away.
We're passed out at 7:30 on a Saturday night for a meeting on a Monday night. And the printing of the flyer says it starts at 7:30. I got here at 12 after 7. Only I was late. Didn't say 7.
Is that your flyer?
It said 7:30.
Their flyers.
I was advising 7:30. You guys actually started early.
No, we started. For what? No, we start the meetings at 7 o'clock, whatever item isn't on, there's no time slots for the items on the agenda, we start early, so everybody, let's make no mistake. When the site plan comes, this meeting starts at 7 o'clock. And don't, whatever you read, this meeting starts at 7 o'clock, it could be 9th on the agenda or 2nd. Just know that this meeting starts at 7 o'clock, so if you send notes out amongst yourselves, we're starting at 7 o'clock. So, that just want to make everybody know that. Plus, everything's on the website, Grosse Pointe Farms. You can see us, our agendas are on the website. Usually at least 10 days before the actual council meeting with the accompanying documents. So when this does get on the agenda, there will be an entire council packet on there. But in the meantime, what we're asking Village Market to do is talk to our people based on some of these comments here today. See if we want to make some alterations. And then sometime in the near future, have another meeting that he'll invite everybody over to the store so you all can talk directly to him and see if we can come up with something that is acceptable. But please understand that everybody on this board, I hope I correctly speak for everybody, I don't usually do this. We want to make it a win-win. We understand there's a traffic issue there. A comment that just came from Ms. Bobby about, I grew up in the woods when those little turn things happen. The traffic slowed down on what I call the runway streets. I knew I could take Bryce because I could cut right across and hit the other side of Bryce to go up to the Taco Bell. And I turned left on Helen and got the Taco Bell. So people know where the cut throughs are to make it fast. That's why I like the idea of staggering it, because it will take away Ace Hardware, race across the middle, down McKinley to Shell Farm. I do it. I'm honest. I'm like, I gotta get to the Shell Farm because I live on Shell Farm. So anyways, we'll take your comments in consideration, and it's not gonna happen next month, so don't worry about something sneaking up on us. But we'll continue to work with you all on this. All right, thanks everybody for coming. Sure.
There's someplace we can send, like, I got 3 or 4 pages. We send, is there somebody we can, I got.
Yeah, City Clerk, Mr. Kazicki. Mr. Kazicki's email is on the website. You can send it to Derek Kazicki. Or Matt Pocket. Or all of us.
Mr. Mayor. This has been very, very helpful to us.
Now, Derek will get it. He'll send it to everybody.
I just want to say thank you all for coming, because this has been very, very exciting to be. Well, I have to be at one point an old time Grosse Pointe, so I do remember the cul-de-sac. And it really wasn't a cul-de-sac, it was a barrier. However, what's described by some of you, I think, is something that we need to explore as well. Understanding that some cul-de-sacs are very bad and that they just, translate to different traffic patterns of different streets. I understand that. However, I think there needs to be some type of traffic survey to take a look at this. Also, unlike the other proposals for the other cul-de-sacs, this is different, I think, Mr. Mayor and Council, and that is that you have far more traffic. There's a larger usage of different publics that come to the store, and everyone has agreed they want the store. So I have to think that there might be some different compromise. I know when they hit the cul-de-sac in the park, 'cause I used to be a park residents as well, they alleviated, and also provided parking. So it needs to be studied further. So I don't want you to think, at least from some of the council people here, that we're gonna just throw out the idea of a cul-de-sac based on, I'll do apologies, some maybe traffic patterns or some history from maybe 15, 20 years ago. Will be looked at again.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. We'll get to the next agenda item in a few minutes. Let everybody clear out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are best.
They go very. Waiting for these guys.
Yeah, you could do a little stuff.
That's been phased. We're working on that. That's been a combination of maybe.
Starter. Hey, what? Starter. Well, yeah.
But if everybody back here.
All right. Item 5, do I have a motion to adjourn as the city council and reconvene as the Board of Zoning Appeals? Anybody support?
Or.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, we've now convened as the Board of Zoning Appeals. Item A, consideration of a variance request at 322 Fisher Road. The applicant, please approach the podium and give us name and address, please. Or the applicant's representative. Becca, they're not just interested in your variance. We get done with
I'm Mike Gordon, 4351 Delaware Court, Royal Oak, Michigan. I'm the architect for Becca Schultes, who's with me tonight, and she's going to speak a little after I'm done. We are requesting a variance to reconstruct an existing first floor deck and to modify an existing second floor balcony to become enclosed second floor space to allow for a new walk-in closet as noted on the company report. And I did distribute some other additional paperwork in the request to see what that second floor totally looked like. Was not in the original. The existing deck and supported balcony currently sit into the 5-foot required side yard, as does the entire side of the home. The goal is to expand the home so that the primary bedroom can have an ensuite bath and a functioning closet. The second floor has 3 bedrooms sharing a standard hall bath. Also, there's a half bath on the first floor. Further, the primary closet is very narrow and barely viable space. The efficient use of materials is to work off the existing porch foundations, which we will review to make sure that it's viable. And then build up from there. And one thing I did want to point out that this portion of the existing porch is already covered. That violation of that roof comes out to a column here. So that to set that back to the foot would be somewhat illogical. And I think at a standard walk-in closet, you need the industry standards, you need a minimum of 6'4" so you can hang on both sides and walk down the center. If we narrow this up a foot, it'd only be 5'5", sort of putting us back to the old closet that they were. As we may know, there's many homes in this area that have the 2.5 bath house, which we think is help improve the environment for everyone. And the client, the wardrobes that people had when these homes were built were a lot different than today. She's a professional. She works outside the home. She has a clothing line. She has to dress the part. As an architect, I always look at the solutions, the practical aspects of the case, ease of construction, fits into a reasonable budget, and fits all the code rules, including the zoning code. I only recommend a variance when all options are reviewed. In this case, where the exception to the rule is the best overall solution for the owner and community. We are not requesting anything more than what is enjoyed by many of the adjoining homeowners in the area. 2.5 bath home is fairly common in this area. Further, as Rebecca will attest, we've spoken with all neighbors, their due diligence, right, them, see what their thoughts, comments. And if we simply move the wall over a foot and make it compliant, the visuals of what you see, the amount of visual impact be basically the same. Finally, shifting the addition over a foot to be compliant would marginally affect, what I just said, the visuals. And we hope you would favor upon the request, and I request that.
Hi, council. Thank you very much for being here.
Now you do have, good, name and address, sorry, council.
My name is Rebecca Schultes. I live at 322 Fisher. And I just want to say, to please take this variance into consideration. It is a big hardship that I have right now, as the closet itself is only about 21 square feet, and the proposed drawing would be about tripling it to 67 square feet. So it really would help me out. As a professional, I am executive assistant to the CFO at Ford, so I do travel with her. I do need to dress those to these parts. I have, like everything from business suits to cocktail dresses, that everything that needs to have. But right now it is spread out between all the closets that I have available, so it really would be nice to do that. And yeah, it's a hardship. But having an ensuite bathroom would be appropriate as well. Right now, it's currently, there's only one master bathroom shared between 3 rooms. If I have a guest, everybody's in this cramped space. They have to take turns waiting for everybody. So having an ensuite bathroom would also be nice. Thank you. Or any questions? Thank you.
Any questions from council? Lev?
Mr. Gordon, is that right? Okay. The property is currently legally non-conforming to the setbacks. Essentially, it's a 3-foot setback now. That's 4 feet.
Yeah.
So we are being asked to okay a 3-foot setback. Is that right?
Correct.
And it seemed to me your practical difficulty is written in your application here is that to do a proper closet in addition, it would mean an extensive amount of foundation work. Is that right?
Additional foundation work and restructuring some existing walls, which it's not a wise use of resources. So, and then that first floor, the fixed part of the kitchen is there. And if you make the first floor narrower, that first floor balcony, first floor deck, only because like 5.5 feet wide. Well, it really limits its function.
So we are if I understand this correctly, we're basically being asked to okay the current existing additions, which are non-conforming, giving you a 1-foot difference.
Right.
So it's a modest, in my view, I'll say. Others may have opinions, but to ask you to do something other would be a big expense and problem. So this is a non, in my view, looking at it like this, it's not self-created. This is a non-conforming issue, and this happened before your clients. Property, right? Yeah, no other question.
Any consultation with nearby neighbors or any opposition to this?
Yes, I did talk to both my neighbors and they are on board with everything. They're actually excited to see what is to come. And they said they have no problem and they were very supportive of this.
Eric, any letters? Anybody else? Questions from council?
I visited the site and I saw what was there and what was going to be there. I endorsed the proposal. I think it's an addition and it's very nicely done. Thank you.
All right, any questions from the public? Andrew? Yeah, I think it's real 16. I'm confused. One thing, if we live on Fisher, shouldn't we let us notice on this? That's 300 feet, isn't there? They set out these, shaded, isn't there supposed to contact all neighbors?
Notices went out.
Isn't that anything?
300 feet, yeah.
Isn't that anything?
Double check. Yeah, you should have gotten it.
So, which? 06, Fisher. So, I mean, I'm not, look, I mean, it's, I just find about, nothing against, but I mean, might still, make these things actually get context. Yeah, you're probably outside of 300 feet. Huh? You're probably outside of 300 feet, like right there. Oh, 40 foot what's so close. Yeah, all right, we'll double check our measuring. I'm just confused, like that comes from the city, not from them, that's why. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's, I just wanted to know. It's not, what is there now?
I think it's swimming.
Yeah, I'm confused.
So basically, the footprint will stay the same. Right now, it's a deck with a balcony above. Right, so what you see there, that room on the second floor, the floor, the balcony is already there. What they want to do is put walls on it and put a roof on it. So they're not getting any closer to the property line than what they already are.
Okay.
They're just asking to.
Downstairs, it's always like.
The downstairs stays the deck as it basically is now. From that day, we close the upstairs.
Thanks so much. Right, anybody else in the public? This. Next job. All right, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of the zoning board of appeals?
I'd like to make a motion,
All right,
Mayor. I move that the appeal of Michael Gordon, Rebecca Schulte, Michael Gordon, the architect for the property located at 322 Fisher Road, be granted, thereby authorizing issuance of a building permit to construct a second-story building addition. Side yard setback variance will allow lawfully existing non-conforming structure to be enlarged or structurally altered. All work will conform with the submitted plans from MGA Architects Designers, which is date stamped May 16th, 2025. In making this decision, the board has reviewed a report from McKenna dated May 30th, 2025. Memo from Matthew Bacca dated June 16th, 2025. The zoning board of appeals application submitted by the owner and dated May 22nd, 2025, and the architectural plans submitted by the applicant. Variance is granted, and I believe it should be granted on the basis that strict application of the zoning ordinance would result in a practical difficulty for the user of the property due to the fact that the property is legally non-conforming. Narrowing the structure of the property would limit the function of the existing deck, would require additional foundation work. 2, the practical difficulty is not self-created as referred, since the house was built prior to when the current owners bought the property, and the house was built prior to the zoning ordinance updates. 3, the extent of the variances in relation to the ordinance is minimal, talking about 1 foot encroachment into the side yard setback. New construction will not extend beyond the porch beneath it, already heard, and will approximately align with the footprint of the existing patio, which is actually mentioned. The variance number 4, variance is in harmony with and serves the intent and purpose of the ordinance. 5, the variance will result in substantial justice being done because the hardship suffered if a variance is not granted would be significant. No work would be able to be done given the property's legally non-conforming status. There are no viable alternatives that would obviate the problem of the hardship. Number 6, there have been no letters of objection that we have received from neighboring property owners. Number 7, no additional government resources will be needed due to the variance. It's my motion, Mr. Mayor.
You good? All right. Appropriate motion. Do I have support? Support. All right, roll call. Mr. Kazicki.
Councilmember Wood. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Liberty.
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Yes.
Mayor Theros.
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan. Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Councilmember Blue.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Good luck with the project. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn as the zoning board of appeals and to reconvene as the city council?
Support.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, public hearing to consider election precinct ordinance Mr. Kazicki, you want to just tell us, is it quick to put it on the July agenda? Is that the? Oh, shoot, we did this last month. Gosh, all right, I'm sorry. Ugh. All right, so, Derek, you want to go away? Tell us what's going on.
Yes, in November 2022, proposal 2 was passed and we were able to increase the size of our precincts from 2,909 active voters to 4,999 active voters. So jurisdictions across the state of Michigan are taking advantage of this to consolidate precincts. And the benefit of that is you save money. Precinct is additional workers, additional machines, additional testing. So this it's a really great opportunity to streamline the elections operations. So that's I'm asking to reduce the amount of precincts from 5 to 2, and also redraw the boundary lines of the precincts to accommodate the 4,999.
So, yeah, in your memo, you talked about for tonight, can you just give us a quick overview on voting patterns you've seen to indicate that 2 precincts won't be overwhelmed when we go from 5 to 2?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be brief. I won't get too into the weeds here, but based on the state of Michigan, we have a voter a dashboard for Grosse Pointe Farms, and using turnout from the November 2024 presidential election for early voting, absentee voting, and election day voting, and using their we had 90% of our active voters come out and vote in November 2024. The overall voter turnout was 78%, but if you just look at active voters, which is voters who have voted in the last 6 years, that's an active voter. So we had 90% turnout. So I kind of use that to plug in precinct, the new precinct 1 and 2, and use the turnout for those turnout numbers. And basically on election day, the key thing to focus on is on election, not early voting. We can handle it. A lot of people are voting absentee. There's 2,600 on the permanent ballot list. They automatically get a permanent ballot. So if we just focus on election day, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., we'll have 798 voters in precinct 1 and 851 voters in precinct 2. So that's about a voter the whole day. And we can, if the lines, if we'll have a few like August elections before the next presidential. So we'll be able to if there feels like there's too long of lines, you can always, like think of it as like adding a cash register. We'll add another computer, and then we can speed that up to 30 seconds.
Questions for our city clerk?
Yeah, I have some questions. So I think this is great. I think seeing the numbers there is really helpful. A reminder that we don't really have election day anymore. We have an election season that goes on. It's over nearly 80% of voters vote before election day. One question I have though is obviously in the last presidential election we had a single site for both precincts. And so essentially in a lot of ways, we've already experienced what it would be like to have a full inundation on election day. And every report, granted I voted early, but every report I've had, smooth sailing in this experience. So in a lot of ways, the precincts are a distinction without a difference, especially if we have one site for election day voting. So I guess I just wanted to make sure folks understood that context as well.
I voted in person 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but it wasn't very smooth, very smooth sailing.
most beautiful precinct in the country.
Yes.
The view of the
Polling area.
right on Lake St. Clair.
You know, my question was similar to Neil's in the ordinance, the draft ordinance on section 2, it says, city council shall designate a polling place for each election precinct, but that's War Memorial. We've already done that.
Sorry, the one follow-up, there's no limits to, theoretically, there's no problem with having multiple precincts at the same site, which is important.
You could have, as the clerk in Canton Township, says, you could have up to 6 precincts, one polling location. The numbers are outstanding when you think about it, but this is, for us, these are the numbers that we experience. We only will have just 2 precincts. And very manageable.
All right, any questions from the public? Andrew? And it's your 16. Frederick does a great job. So in the War Memorial today, there'll be like a Google command, I think, precinct 1, precinct 2, Derek, and then they'll go, what's it up? But then they go to machines, or they, how will you do machines, or we do fill out ballot little area, and machine or something like that. Is that how it's going to work?
Right now, we have 5 lines, so now it would reduce just 2 lines.
So same process, you fill out the little red and white sheet, address, hand it in, scan. Then you, it's like, just like, we'll like 2 different tables or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, feed that sheets up. Good meetings. It's such a small group. People shoot employees. Up forward. Thank you so much. All right, anyone else in public on this item? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of council? Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lilly.
Move the approval of proposed ordinance number 403, the election precinct ordinance contained in our packets. Today's meeting, together with adoption of the amended voter precinct consolidation matters.
Support. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Derek. Great job. Appreciate it. Item number 8, consideration of approval of year-end budget adjustments. Mr. Rowland.
So these are year-end budget adjustments based on where we're projecting to end the current fiscal year as June 30th. Been relatively quiet year as far as no surprises with tree cleanups or flooding or anything like that, so that was a quiet year. We're projecting right now approximately $400 surplus. So as I mentioned at the last council meeting, we budgeted that out and recommend that we send that money to the capital projects fund. We earmarked for the pool project next year. These are our revenue adjustments on the screen here. We have minor adjustments for $25,000 increase in interest revenue due to higher interest rates. Public safety training grants we received from the state of sending officers to the police academy, $165,000 for that. And we had minor decreases in license and permits due to building permit activities in state share revenue due to lower state sales tax restrictions. On the expense side, we have lower expenditures down, general government down $88,000 due to lower salaries, postage and office equipment costs. Mid-Fork down $18,000 due to lower health insurance and board software costs. Public Works down $277,000. That savings from unfilled mechanic position that just got filled at the beginning of most of the year, as well as lower overtime costs. As I mentioned previously, lower temp labor costs. Parks and Recreation down $175,000 due to fewer building and harbor repairs compared to prior years. And a reduction in the contingency of $17,000 just reallocated. And then a transfer of $450,000 when I mentioned to the capital projects fund. In the road funds, we added additional election projects for Barclay Ford and Ruby Road, as well as doing a significant amount of extra curbing gutter and sidewalk work on Shawpot. We also had the final payments for the 2 prior years road projects occur in this fiscal year, so they budgeted in prior years, but ended up actually coming in this year. So due to those fluctuations, I'm recommending to transfer $350,000 from the individual roads to the major roads. Then I dropped the fund balance in major roads of 137,000 and local roads of 257,000. You can see there at the bottom, the projected fund balance is major, local, and municipal roads, while they're still very healthy. The last is the capital projects fund, accounting the revenue for the pool reserve, 450,000. We had a budget for the purchase of the Mac Avenue building, 795,000. Then we got additional interest revenue of 40,000 due to interest rates. And timing of the Seawall grant, the final payment for the Seawall grant of 90,860. That's it. If there's any questions.
Work. Anybody have any questions? Tim? Just, yeah, I just have a question. Sorry, should have raised this earlier. In seeing that additional monies and projects can be allocated for Barclay Court, part of Kirby, if I got that right, maybe got me wrong. Is there any way that we can do with temporary players on Lake Shore between Fisher and Warner? There's literally a run road there. It's getting worse by the day, and was curious as to when project may start on Fisher between Grosse Pointe Boulevard, please, and Lake Shore.
Want me to take that, Matt, or?
I could do part B for sure.
All right. Well, Lakeshore, we do know, is in poor shape, from Fisher Road to Warner, is, you know, as far as the pacer ratings that, ranks as, you know, the worst condition in the city, next to Fisher Road between, the Boulevard and Lakeshore. So we have, consistently been applying for, federal aid, so FAC eligible road, federal aid eligible road. And so we are always on cusp of getting federal funds, and that the goal is if you get the federal funds, it pays for 90% of the project. So since we were so close, we have reapplied again this year for paving next year. So you know, at some point, if we continue not to get it, we might have to bite the bullet and pay for the cost 100%. Similar to what we had to do on Kirby Road a few years ago. In terms of some immediate repairs, we can do some, you know, it's just maintenance. We can do, you know, definitely can go through with, you know, some coal patching if there are potholes. We can make it, we can improve that. So we will work on that.
It's something that really be appreciated by the tens of thousands of commuters, Memorial traffic, church traffic, and I hope we're not waiting
2 years.
2 years to do that when parking lots are being done and other things. I really hope.
It is along that seam for primarily where it's really bad.
Yeah, and there's literally a run.
There's 2 ruts right there at the light, and if you have to bleed to get out of the way.
Yes.
If you drop, right, you drop.
You know,
Well, we can look at it. Maybe there's some way like we did on last year on Barclay, you know, just a light mill and a couple of those areas.
yeah, they do that little mill saw cuts, and it's actually the residents there on Barclay are ecstatic because it was like that 80-foot section that was just awful.
So,
Yeah,
well, we have
something
equipment down
similar.
Fisher, we could maybe look at doing something very temporary.
That's what I don't understand. You're gonna stop at Fisher and Great Swing Boulevard.
Yeah, well, that's why we applied for both roads at the same time. Okay. And then Fisher Road in terms of construction, I know that
They're supposed to bring milling on Fisher next week.
Oh.
Monday or Tuesday.
School's out, and we gotta get it done.
Right to school gets out and obviously, and so they're lined to go.
Thank you. Well, thank you. All right, any other questions for Tim? Anybody in public have any comments? Andy?
Apologize, Andy Durden, Justice Fisher. Money that that was extra money we had surplus this year, yeah, we're
400,000, correct? Yes, it's surplus from this year's budget.
That's good. Okay, I just want to understand. Thank you so much. It's good.
And listen, we've been blessed the last decade with 2 great controllers, and Tim picked up and improved upon what he inherited, and it makes us really look good. So thank you for all this work, all that's on. All right, anybody else in the public? All right, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of council? What, you want to give me one?
Yeah, I have a motion. Sorry, I changed the page.
It's all right.
You know, so that I can find my notes. It is, my motion is, that city council approve the proposed budget amendments detailed in Tim Rowland's memo dated, June 16th, 2025. Which reflects the current expectations, revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year ending, June 30th, 2025.
Got a good motion. Support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, consent agenda. Does anybody have any items A through I that they want removed for individual consideration?
You know, I didn't ask.
Oh.
I didn't ask, just the fireworks one. I just had a question.
Sent an email.
I know you did. I know you did. We just have.
All right. It's just that far. Right? Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through E and G through I?
So moved.
Is there support? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9F, consideration of a request from administration to award a contract for the end of summer bash fireworks display to be held on August 30, 2025. Mr. Swoper.
Yes, I love this. I really appreciated the very thorough information. The only question I had was, which option did we choose? Option 1 or option 2?
Question.
Yes.
We're going with shown for its smaller shells. So 6 inch is the biggest shell. But we're getting a substantial amount more shells and shocks shell. So in 2022, we had this option, and it's less of the giant shells going off, but it's just nonstop. So but it's a little different than the previous year, based on the previous experience.
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of displays. More fireworks is a good thing.
I need my drum set. Any other questions on this item? Anybody from the public? Any questions on this item? All right, seeing none, what is the pleasure of council? Do I have a motion to approve item 9F in the consent agenda?
Motion to approve it.
Support?
Second, support.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Reports, you have the public safety report in front of you. And as I'm becoming a broken record, 4 of the 5 car entries were because the car was unlocked. So stop leaving your cars unlocked, everybody, but I can say that for a year now and whatever. Because I see some extra folks here, I will not make them wait through what will be a long closed session, so I'm going to move other business up from item 13 to item 11. Then we will go into closed session and then come back out of session. But just so we don't have to make people wait. Other business, Mr. Reside.
Just an update on our major sewer project. It's going fairly well, but with every project, there's always a surprise, a day in, day and out. Today was a surprise, not with our sewer project, but with our water main project, where as part of the new sewer line that's going downtown Core, we felt this was a good time to replace the water main, which was approved by City Council. And so they began that process today by isolating the section of main on Town Core. When that was isolated, the shutoff on the valve failed. It actually had quite a bit of leakage through that valve that ended up making its way down to Lakeshore, not to a point where traffic was impeded, but it was a pretty good flow. So in order to stop the flow of water coming from the shutoff valve, we had to go to the next shutoff valve, which is over at Ross and Lakeshore. And when we did that, which was so we could isolate that valve, we lost water to about 3 or 4 additional homes, more significantly to the Pier Park. So we had lost
Not just 3 or 4 parts of the Pier Park. The Pier Park.
So we did this morning, we did have to close the park, this morning, so we could at least, get a good understanding of what had to be done, get the parts ordered. And we did temporarily, get the shut off, on that valve, so it wasn't, continuing to flow. And the pool did open up again, this afternoon. But we are, tomorrow morning, we will be again shutting off that valve, and making a replacement of the damaged valve, near Tiny Pool. So just a heads up, there was a contact that was sent out today. There's emails sent out to all of our swim teams. So the pool will be closed. The park will actually be closed, tomorrow for a good part of the day. We anticipate the park being open no later than 3 o'clock tomorrow. And then the pool opening shortly following. But just a heads up. So if you hear, what's transpired, that's what's transpired.
So, let me just make sure I understood this. Shane, when you say the park is closed, the park closed to the boat owners, tennis
Well,
players?
there will be somebody at the gate. So if somebody needs to access their boat or wants to leave on their boat, they'll be able to do that. But the park essentially will not be open just because we don't have working bathroom facilities. And the health code requires, working bathroom facilities, to stay operational.
There's a lake. No.
No.
Oh, back to the 1800s. Good. All right, anybody else in council with other business?
Mr. Mayor, this council, elected me to be your representative on the Active Adult Commission. The Active Adult Commission is finally going to have a first meeting.
It's finally active.
June 26th at 8 a.m. And it will be the city county offices at Grosse Point, city of Grosse Point. Okay.
That's for the health. Village.
Right. Yeah. Of course, that is the new millage that is with the helm. People Williams for seems like it's approved by all the Grosse Points except Grosse Point Shores and Harper Woods. Harper Woods and all the rest of the Grosse Points did have approval of this. So we now have, it's a governance body. This thing called the Active Adult Commission. Like I say, this thing, it's just I have no idea exactly what's gonna all be involved. We have a little bit of a charter information with here, but that has to be discussed and when fleshed out, I'm sure. There's one representative of all Grosse Points, one representative, exception of the Shores, one representative from Harper Woods. Meeting to elect to chair the commission, to go through some different recitals with it, the agreement, what we have as far as our authority to governance.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to share everyone with the public that on Thursday there will be a Juneteenth celebration at the Wayne County Community College Center at 19191 Vermeer. So everybody knows where the W3 is. I think it's going to be a really timely opportunity to get together. As folks know, Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom, one, but it's also a reminder of freedom's fragility. And over the past week, we've seen American cities and states threatened simply for allowing people to speak freely. We've seen elected leaders murdered for doing the work of democracy. These aren't abstract threats. They are an attack on the very ideals of Juneteenth and what our country represents. Juneteenth teaches us that freedom for all, has never been a guarantee. It has always required people to stand up when it is hard, even in the face of violence, to insist that America live up to its promise. And that work continues in moments like these. It's on all of us as citizens, as public servants, and as neighbors to protect that promise and continue to move it forward. And I hope you'll join us and celebrate Juneteenth on Thursday. Wonderful.
Thanks, Theo. Anybody else in council? All right, anybody in public, other business? We can come up together, sorry, just gotta give us both names, that's all.
And again, for McKinley.
Ken Show 423. Okay. Okay, so this is what I wanted to bring up earlier, and I just decided to walk away and maybe send an email, but
decided to come back. Getting back to McKinley, what's, I guess we're proposing if we can put up signage now versus waiting until this proposal gets approved, I mean, probably maybe another year out, just a guess, but is it possible to get signage on McKinley now versus waiting?
Not sure how about me.
The trucks?
Yes, absolutely. On Shellcott. And we actually wrote some notes down, but like no semis, no commercial through trucks, except by permit, like a moving truck or something along those lines. We don't know what all that entails.
And also coming out of the alley to McKinley, turn right only versus left onto McKinley.
We might start seeing some.
Chief, we can do that. Let me tell you. We're gonna look at putting a digital speed sign on McKinley because this is recurring. So what we do is when we get speeding complaints, and we get them all over the city, and they're all characterized as runways. Okay. Chalfont, Percival, Chalfont, Grosse Point Boulevard, Ross, Moran, Kirby, Dan. And I can tell you this, often, not always, often the perception of speed is greater than the reality of the speed. Okay. Our son lives on block, and we with our 9-month-old granddaughter. So if there is a problem on McKinley with speeding, I'm gonna fix it. Okay. But I can't control the volume. Okay. There are a ton of cars that go down McKinley. It makes it look faster than they're actually going at times. And what we did was we pulled officers, the data collector off months ago because they were saying it was more of a volume issue. Plus, we can't keep them there indefinitely. We have to rotate them all over the city planes to come. But we're gonna put them back. Coming into a new budget, it might be worth exploring a permanent digital sign. You'll look at it. In terms of signage, everybody wants.
All right, why don't you put something together?
Okay.
And take a look at it. And there, yes, obviously, there's no commercial vehicles. Somebody's moving, that's,
Yes.
we're not gonna ticket them for turning left or right down McKinley. But it's, you're talking about more of the produce, more of the delivery trucks and
So
such.
to farmers market, the village.
We work with the traffic engineer, so I think maybe we could actually sit down and get thoughts to what might.
I can call TIA.
Yes.
Chuck Kelly grew up in Grosse Point Farms. He runs the whole thing. So.
Right.
We won't hold that up.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else in the public comment? All right, having no other public comment, I'll go to item 11. We will go into closed session to discuss potential agreements with two of our collective bargaining units. We will reconvene after the closed session into active council to then consider voting on those items. You are welcome to wait in the anteroom and then come back in, and we'll let you know when we're done. But I can't promise that the closed session will be quick if you want to stay for the follow-up. So with that, I need a motion to go into closed session, the roll call vote to consider collective bargaining matters.
Motion to go into closed session.
Derek, roll call?
Councilmember Wood. Yes. Pro Tem, Councilmember Liberty.
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Yes.
Mayor Darris.
Yes.
Councilmember Dunn. Councilmember Schultz.
Yes.
Councilmember.
Yes.
So the first question, Derek, are we live here?
I'm gonna stop the lines.
And then in terms of cameras,
Those cameras are live, so privacy. You have to.
all right, so I think we should go to the next.
Okay, I go back room, I can resume closed session.
And you need us for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.